Hello, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to our uh, presentation on the ACSI, which is the American Consumer Satisfaction Index. This is a survey that is sent out every other year to the Community Action Network and all the CAAs across the country to gauge how well the state offices are doing in carrying out some of their jobs. I like to be open and honest and look at this survey, and I use this a lot to try and improve what we're doing at the state level in order to improve our scores and bring up our scores. So in 2019, this survey was done for the third time. It was also done in 2017 and 2015. In 2015 is when we got our highest scores that we had ever got. The first year of the survey, we saw a considerable decline in 2017, and then another slight decline in 2019. So what my goal is and what our goal is here at the state is to work towards and work with you, the network, in order to provide a better quality of product coming out of the state office and raise our scores back up and to move from right now, as I'll talk about in a few minutes, from being an average state to being a good state. I prefer to be considered an excellent state. The highest category is exceptional. You know, that's a big goal of mine. It's one of the top things I want to do is raise your confidence in the state office and improve the services we're offering and the experience that you have working with us as a funding source. So I want to start, by first giving a huge thank you and a huge pat on the back and shout out to the agencies. In 2019, this past time that the survey was conducted, the national response rate was 67%. So 67% of community action agencies across the country completed this survey. In the state of Illinois, we had a response rate of 80%. We had 28 out of 35 community action agencies respond to this survey, which I think is just an exceptional job. While I'm a little bit disappointed with the numbers of where we are, I'm glad that we have a high response rate. I'm glad that people are being honest and evaluating us and helping us know where to improve. And I hope from 2019 that whenever it gets done again in 2021, I hope that you can see that we're taking this survey very seriously and trying to learn from it and trying to improve our processes. So because Illinois has such a high response rate, basically the makers of this survey say that the confidence rate is around 85% for the results of the survey are accurate within 85%. So on the scale that they use, they're saying that that's basically a plus or minus 3% range. So overall, on the consumer satisfaction index, Illinois received a 65, which is considered to be average. So with that, when you figure in the confidence, we're somewhere between 62 and 68, which all of that is still considered to be average. When we get up into the 70s, that's considered to be good, and when we get up into the 80s, that's excellent. 90s is exceptional. I really would like a long-term goal of getting up there in the 80s. I know that means I need to work a lot. We need to work a lot here at the state level if we expect to raise the goals, raise the bar by that much. And that's a task that we're willing to do and that we're definitely have that high on the radar for us to do. So, as I said, Illinois received a score of 65, when we compare that nationally, the average score was 71. So we are lagging behind the national scores by about 6 points. Again, that's something I would really like to close that gap. You know, um, uh, by the time the 2021 survey is taken. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to share my screen here with you so that you can see exactly what this survey and what we get whenever we're looking at our survey results. So as you can see, the first one I'm going to show you is based Illinois based on the national side of things. So when we look at the development of the state plan and how we do it at developing our state plan, this is the reason we're trying to get agencies involved in the development of the state plan. We've tried to establish a working group. We try and talk about it at our annual meetings. We have meetings with ICA to go over our state plan. So that's extended in of our involvement. The caliber of opportunities are within the state plan and or the caliber of opportunities you have, you know, and does our state plan reflect your input? As you can see on the score up here, we scored 43 on this, and the national average is a 47. So we know what this tells us is you guys are wanting more involvement and more input into the state plan. So those are the things that we're trying to change to work on that. When we look at the distribution of funds, which is the next category, the state scored an 82. We got an 87 on ensuring there's no interruptions, and we got a 77 on the quality of the process. We're continually trying to improve the quality of the process and trying to make sure that grants are processed in a timely manner to make sure you're getting the money out. We're getting the money out. So this is one area that we exceed the national average on. So we have a score of an 82, where the national average is 75. So that's positive that we have. One of the few positives as a state that I have from that is knowing that at least when it comes to distributing the funds, we're doing a excellent job on that. Any score in the 80s, like I said previously, is considered to be excellent. Once we get down, the 60s is considered average. So once we get down 50 and below, that means we really have a lot of work to do, i.e. on the state plan where we're 43. So when we're talking about use of discretionary funds, Illinois came in at a 63. The national average was a 68. So the transparency of distribution is something I've been trying to work on over the last couple of years. Based on these scores, I know I have had more work to do, but we want to be very transparent. Based on the results of this poll is where we came up with things. Well, this survey played into, it wasn't the total thing, but it played into us doing things like the technology grant using discretionary funds. It played into us trying to think of something such as a Tiki program, which we were so close to getting off the ground, and then due to the pandemic, COVID-19, we weren't able to follow all the way through with that. It's why we've tried to invite our different partners to talk about. We've improved our funding levels to the association over the last couple of years. We've talked more about who else we fund. For example, funding the U of I and the Healthy Homes Initiative and what those projects are like. So again, this is areas that we're working towards improving. So a 63 tells me that we're on the lower end of good. again, I want all of these numbers to at least be in that, or 63 tells me we're on the lower end of average. I want all of these numbers, hopefully it's my goal to get all of these numbers to at least be in that good range. I don't necessarily like being average. I would like to be good. I would like to be excellent. And I know it takes work for us to get there. When we look at the training and technical assistance, again, we're at 61, which is average, low end of average, when the national average is 72. So that tells me we have a lot of work to do on the training and technical assistance side. And I think we've started that work. We started it really well last year, and again this year we took another step forward in our relationship with the association, with ICA, in being a technical service provider. We're trying to get more trainings out there and trying to look at the trainings we're offering and how effective it is. So one thing I'd like to look at on this score is where we're down here at a 58 on the amount of training and assistance. So what that is telling me is we're not providing enough training and technical assistance. So in response to that, we've been able to hire additional grant manager staffs in order to hopefully be able to provide one-on-one assistance to agencies. We've looked at maybe some of our grant managers' roles and trying to have some grant managers that are more focused on providing training and technical assistance. So those are some of the things that hopefully, as we go through and implement these processes, hopefully those are things that start to show and have positive results. So when we look at the monitoring and corrective action area, we're at a 66, where the national average is at a 73. So again, we're behind the national average on this too. The consistency of monitoring is where I'd like to look at on here, because that's below or that's our lowest score in this section. So we've been doing a lot to improve the consistency of our monitoring using the STARS monitoring tool. What we're trying to do with that is go through a two-step review process to allow for agencies receiving the same information on the monitoring and that. We do get good marks on when we're looking at the adherence to the plan, good marks on the usefulness of the visit, which we're right there at the national average on that. Clarity of feedback, we're at the national average on that. So those are all good signs. Timeliness of feedback, I know that's been something that we haven't always been hitting our goals and our deadlines and providing feedback, and it's something that we're trying to implement processes internally which will improve that feedback. And then the clarity of the process, we're a little bit lagging behind there also. So when we look at linkages, so these are who we're partners with, and that we were really behind in linkages, coming in at a 54 at the national average of 62. So the awareness and efforts of the linkages is where we scored a 52 at. Again, as time goes on, we're trying to learn from our lessons, trying to get our partners out there a little bit more and get our partners a little bit more visible to the network, so you can see who we're partnering with and understand what those partners are and what each partnership actually each of these partners are doing. So I know in last year's annual meeting, I remember saying that we have a partner with, I can't remember who it was that we had a partner with, and somebody actually asked the question, what exactly do we do with them, and that, and I want to get to a point, I hope to get to a point that whenever we mention this agency is our partner, everybody goes, oh yeah, I know IEMA is a partner at the fed or at the state level. we're constantly getting information on disasters, and we're constantly being informed about what's going on with the COADs or BOADs or the different events taking place in our service area. So that's another area that we have. So really right now, my main focus is to try and improve these where we're the lowest performing, which is the linkages, which is the development of the state plan. We have to start somewhere, and I want to start with the lowest performing ones to try and raise those up. So we've changed some of our ways, and hopefully have improved those our activities in that line. When we look at communication, we got a 65, which again is below the average, and primarily, we can see that we're getting the low end of sufficient amount of information out there. We're not providing very good feedback. It looks to me like you would like a little bit more communication from us. Clarity, while that's, to me, that's a low score. It is one of our higher scores in this category. So, we need to clarify the information that we're getting out there, which we've tried to do, especially during the last 5-6 months, during the period of COVID. We've worked hard to try and get clarify our communication and that. As we've increased and expanded our staff, I'm hoping that the responsiveness of staff to requests, I'm hoping that number will rise as we have staff members now that have 5 or 6 agencies as opposed to 9, 10, 11, 12 agencies. And likewise, as I said, with the monitoring, the consistency of responses, that's important, that every grant manager, that whether it's a grant manager, whether it's the management staff, or whether it's a senior leadership staff, I want the consistency of the responses to be the same and higher. So all of these factors I just went over all play into the consumer satisfaction index. So our overall satisfaction index, as I said earlier, is 65. The overall satisfaction of agencies is a 69, which is on the high end of average. I again really want to push that number and get that up. The satisfaction compared to expectations is lower. So what that tells me is you also expect me to be in that good to excellent range. And then the satisfaction compared to ideal is right there around where the expectations are. So that tells me your expectations are about where the ideal level is, and which tells me that I should be up in the mid to high 70s, low 80s on this number, which is something we really want to try and strive for. And then whenever I look at the confidence in the lead agency, we have a 72, which this makes me feel good, because outside of the distribution of funds, which is an 82, the 72s here at the very end are our highest scores. And what that tells me is that you do have confidence in me and my staff and the leadership here at DCO, and you have trust in us, but we're just not doing the job that you expect in communicating and monitoring and sharing information about partners and things such as that. So right there, it tells me that you have confidence that we have the ability to do it, but we're underperforming, and that's something that we want to change and are working hard to change. So that's compared to the national averages there. You see over here at the left-hand side, it has a national minimum and the national maximum. To me, I don't pay very much attention to that at all, because there are states that only have 1 or 2. I think maybe the smallest state is 4 community action agencies, and it's a lot to get. Or it's not difficult to get 100 when you're only trying to please 3 or 4 people. Likewise, it's not hard to get a 0 if there's only 3 or 4 people responding. So I kind of take those with a grain of salt on what the highest number is in the nation, what the lowest number is, knowing that some states are larger with the number of eligible entities, and other states are quite small. So that is what that is on that. I do find the national average to be a good number. So here I want to just compare where we were in 2017 to where we are in 2019. And regretfully, as we can see, almost all of our numbers dropped. You know, the distribution of funds rose quite a bit. It rose by 27 points. I think part of that was in 2017, if I remember correctly, was the start of GATA. And I think if I remember right, we weren't getting grants executed until March or April or something like that. We did a really good job in 2019 in improving that to getting, I believe, if I remember right, all except one grant executed by the end of January. So I'm really happy with that. Those are the kinds of improvements I like to see in other categories as we go. It looks like we dropped off considerably in the development of the state plan from 2017 to 2019. Again, that's another reason why that's one of our points of emphasis that we're really trying to look at. Our training and technical assistance dropped by 14 points. I think that has to do with the rough spots we went through with our relationship with ICA. I think that's part of why the training and technical assistance numbers dropped. I'm hoping now that we've got back on track with some things, and we've improved some of our things internally. I'm hoping to see that's an area that I'm hopeful for improvement for as we move forward. That combined with the increased staff at the state level and ability to and increased training at the state level, I'm hoping those two will be driving factors in increasing that number back up closer to the 2017, 2015 numbers. I can see some things we stayed about the same on. So whenever I look at this, if you keep in mind that we have a 3% variance based on that confidence rate, the monitoring and corrective action, the communication, that on the low end of the variance, but we're within that same variance from 2017 to 2019 at the -3. So we stayed about the same on that. Got a little bit worse on the linkages portion of it. Now, as we go down to the overall satisfaction, again, we can see we dropped in the overall customer satisfaction index by 2 points. That's a composite of all the information above, which is a ship I would like to write and get that going in the other direction in 2021. Again, I'm very pleased, and it means a lot to me that the numbers that did go up was a confidence in the lead agency and the trust in the lead agency. To me, again, what that's saying is you do have confidence in us. You do have trust that we can do the right thing, and that we're working to do that. So that's where we're at on that. Then the last thing I'd like to share, just so you know, we do get a list of all the different comments that were made. It doesn't tell us who made which comments or anything, but we can use these things, and we see some common themes in here. So, for example, a lot of the common themes is the state needs to let ICA work with the network instead of micromanaging what we feel are the needs. so we see ICA pop up in here quite a bit, and that's why we've focused on our relationship with ICA a little bit, and trying to be better on that. So we have a list of different things. We spent a great deal of time analyzing these and sticking them in the same buckets so that we could improve on it. So with that said, those are the results of our ACSI. Again, they're not flattering results, but it is a reminder, and that at the state level, we need to work harder to meet the needs of our customers, which our customers are you, the eligible entities, and this is what we're trying to do. Is as tough as it is to sit here and talk with you and have the conversation about the fact that our scores have dropped one more time, is not something that excites me, but it is definitely motivation for us at the state to work towards improving our scores and working to become the lead agency that you believe we can be, and I say that based on the trust scores, based on those scores there. So that's the agency that we would like to be. That's the agency that we're striving to be. So we will be fielding any questions that you have on the ACSI during the live WebEx that we're going to have later on at the conclusion of this period. So please feel free to make any notes. Rewind this and rewatch it to see where those scores are, and ask specific questions if that's what you would like. So thank you very much for joining me, and I will look forward to speaking to you at our live WebEx at the conclusion of the review period for these videos. Thank you.